Bill Platt.
Isn't that right there, baby?
How much did Minnesota miss Gobert last night and McDaniels? Because when Karl Anthony Towns got his 5th foul, complete turnoff of Minnesota's offense. And a game very winnable for Minnesota at LA went the other way. 16 points in the 4th quarter in overtime is the fewest in NBA postseason history. And for the Lakers to come back from 15 down, for Schroeder to hit the 3, for Davis to foul only on the 3. But to come back from that, that's something, right? Bill Plaschke. I know how you feel about this, but is there any element here that makes you think, well, they got the first step and they can go on from here?
No, it was hideous. They can't win like this, Tony. They just can't win like this. Before the game, the Timberwolves coach, Chris Finch, said that his team was a wreckage. He calls his team wreckage. Well, it turns out the Lakers were nearly wreckage in this game. Trailed by as many as 15 points. LeBron didn't come on to the end. Anthony Davis didn't show dominance. D'Lo made one. I think he made one shot. And even that, they came back, had the brilliant, great game-winning shot by Schroeder. And what do? Anthony Davis has what he calls a brain fart. And he loses Conley in the corner, fouls him, three throws, goes to overtime. This should have been a 2-foot putt, Tony. It should have been a gimme. The T-Wolves were a mess. The Lakers now, I don't see playing this way. They can't beat Memphis. They can't beat Golden State. They can't beat Denver.
Okay, LeBron, I believe, was the one who called it a brain fart on Anthony Davis. Whoever smelt it, whatever. No. I don't know. Woody Page, let me go to you here. Maybe outside the forest and the trees a little bit. A win is a win in the playoffs, or something worse?
I'm stunned. I've never heard Bill say it's over a week before it even starts. I mean, that's amazing. Because when I was watching the game late, trying to stay awake, I thought this team of the Lakers, it was terrible to watch. It was terrible to watch. But I expected you to be stronger in a positive way, Bill, about them. But at the very end of regulation, Davis and James were under the other team's basket during a timeout, and they were both just famished. I mean, they couldn't. They were like holding on to each other. I saw a team that, when it plays Memphis and the Grizzlies, it's going to have serious problems trying to stay up and get in a rush with that young.
All right,
athletic,
Memphis is asking for it,
team.
though. Woody, I'll give you points for honesty that it was tough to stay up and watch the game. It's the game before the series, before the series, before the series, before the series. But this is the business we've chosen, David Dennis Jr., on last night's play-in.
Yeah, as a panelist who was able to stay up for the game and wake up this morning to discuss the game, I want to give a little bit of credit to the Minnesota Timberwolves for their ability to lose this game. The mental ineptitude of this team is otherworldly. Last year, they blew two double-digit games in the 4th quarter, the only team to do that, and they blew another double-digit lead in the 4th quarter last night. Anthony Edwards, 3 for 17. Cat, foul trouble, 16 points in the last 17 minutes. And with all that said, it took the Lakers to overtime to beat this game, to beat this terrible team, who, by the way, also can't stop punching animate and inanimate things. And it's worrying me that Anthony Davis said that they had to win this game because they could not play on Friday. Well, when the playoffs actually start, you're going to be playing on Tuesdays and Fridays. So you need to be able to do that back-to-back, and I'm not sure that they can do that with the age and the way that they're playing.
And Pablo Torre.
But to come full circle here, I do want to return to something Bill started off with, which was the sentence that they cannot win like this. They just won like this, Bill. Like, I understand that Bill wants to be the voice of reason amid the hordes of Laker fans, but Tony, if you're to actually, I think, psychologically diagnose Laker Nation, this is the sort of game that, of course, the Lakers would win. They had every advantage going in. They squandered those advantages. They were down 15, then down 10, and still, despite all of it, despite trying to give the game away, their talent, their Lakerness enabled them to pull it out. And I'm not saying the Lakers are a good team. I'm just saying they're a team that is infuriating in their capacity to still be in the conversation, despite every reason to eliminate them, Bill.
All right.
I just want to be more honest about what Laker fans are actually feeling right now.
But a banned phrase, because we're in it. Welcome to the conversation, Pablo Torre. Plaschke wants back in, please.
Cat got his 5th foul with about 9 minutes left in the game.
Change the game.
The T-Wolves were outscored by 16 points after that. He was restricted. If he didn't get his 5th foul called on him, the Timberwolves
They
win
couldn't
this
score,
game.
and we've
That's how
never.
bad.
They couldn't score to the extent we've never seen. Again, that's an NBA record. Scored 16 points combined, 4th quarter and overtime. Woody, last word after the horn.
Yes, one thing that we do have to mention about the Lakers, when this version of Russell and James and Davis play together, they're 9-2. So we can't totally dismiss that they're just going to be run over when they get into the real playoffs.
David Dennis
Right.
Jr., last word.
I mean, what's also concerning is who ended that game. The players that they got in this trade at the deadline were not there. They couldn't rely on those guys to win the game. It was the old guard. So that's the thing that's also troubling with them going forward.
Yeah, Jared Vanderbilt was terrible too. They were all. It's a mess, Tony. It's a mess out here. I say a mess.
I'm not suggesting it's not. You just sound like you're very sad about it, Flashkey. It's just we'll move on. Hawks dissecting the Heat last night. Jimmy Butler said nobody picked the Heat. Look at this. Everybody picked the Heat, and you can include the 4 in our panel yesterday. So, Newt's Hawks feeling themselves a little bit right now. David, how this happened and that it happened, was it more about Atlanta, Miami, or the play-in format where it's not one and done?
As much as I want to scream at the Heat to get a stinking rebound or score some points, this was really about the Hawks and about, you've heard playoff P. What about play-in T? Trae Young, 3-0, best play-in player of all time, guys.
Yeah,
Put
but
him
is
in the
that
Hall
a
of
good
Fame for
thing?
that.
Do you want to be the best play-in player of all time?
Hey, glass half full over here. But no, really what this game was really about was rebounding, and Clint Capella and that Atlanta Hawks team rebounding on 43% of their missed shots. The best in the league is 34%. And since Snyder has been there, they've had the highest offensive rebounding percentage. So that is something that is sustainable for them, and they could have folded when they were, when Miami came back. Trae Young had those trade rumors right before the game, and he persisted. This is a big-time win for the Hawks, no matter how far they go after this.
Pablo Torre.
This is a big glass is 51% full kind of scenario, David. This is not this is, you are a team that is mediocre and just does enough in the play-in game to eke these things out. And the reason they won and why I was so wrong yesterday is because the Heat got out-cultured by the Hawks. This is a case of, in fact, what David didn't want to do, which is talking about rebounding and defense. 22-6. Clint Capella out-rebounded the Heat alone on the offensive glass, Tone. And defensively, this is a bottom 5 team in Atlanta for the last month or so. And here they were shutting down the Heat. The Heat are not a good team, but the Hawks played so much tougher, and they got every rebound, so many dunks. It was demoralizing because the Heat were supposed to be, I bought them as the team of culture, and they were the opposite.
Go Plashke.
Yeah, to me, it was about the demise of the Heat. Just don't forget, they pushed Boston in the conference finals just last season. What happened to that? I've never seen a Heat team out second chance points. They lost 26-3, out rebounded 63-39. Bam didn't show up. When you have Kyle Lowry as your leading scorer, you need to get a scorer. You need to get a shooter. The Heat need to go out this summer and acquire a shooter. They need help. And Pablo's right. The culture which Spo, I thought, and Pat Riley have created was decimated. It didn't look like a Heat team at all.
You guys are pushing it. I'm going to have to make another banned word for that word, that C word, unless you're referring to yogurt.
Culture.
No, see? Here, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Woody Payne.
Let me straighten you guys out. You talked about the Hawks and how it's a different team. Why is it a different team? They made a coaching change and they brought in a guy who actually knows how to win big games and coach big games. And I think that's a difference with Young. He's back to playing the way he was in the playoff. You talk about him being a great play-in game player. He was a good playoff player 2 years ago. Here's a guy, I think that Young is making a difference. This is not the same team that I saw before they changed coaches. And defensively, they're a lot improved. They're not a 26th overall like they were earlier in the year. There's a team that's playing good defense, getting those rebounds. And
So you believe in these Hawks a little bit. So you have them beating the Celtics.
I think
clearly.
they have shown us in the past they can challenge good teams into playoffs, and I think they're not going to just roll over again.
Pablo Torre, what are you laughing at?
At the risk of doing what I did yesterday, I'd like to very safely take the Boston Celtics against the Atlanta Hawks.
Yes.
Please. Thank you. Yes.
What do you say they're a different team? They have an NBA record right now where they're within one game of 500 either way for the last 34
Amazing.
games. I mean, it's unbelievable. But maybe that means you take the Celtics to 7 games. Maybe that's what it means. Fire or sell on the other side.
They don't win a game. They don't win a game.
Well, they'll win a lot.
It was a question we found ourselves asking ourselves for the last 2 months. Would the Bruins go for it? Would previous President's Trophy winner letdowns or the 73-win Warriors or the 18-0 Patriots scare them off? The greatest season in the history of the NHL. Passing the 76-77 Canadiens last night, 133 points. 64 wins, and they still got a game to play with here, Bill Plaschke. Mentioned those other all-time teams that didn't win the title. Do you see the Bruins record-setting season as a good omen or bad omen heading into the playoffs?
Tony, the Canadiens team they beat did win the title. This is a good omen. They have a plus 53 goal differential in the third period. This is a team usually that they get worn out going for a record. This team's only getting stronger.
Woody Page?
One of the most dominating teams I've ever seen in the National Hockey League. And you look at a situation like with Hall, Coyle, and Bertuzzi, the third line, they could be the first line on most teams. They've got the best goaltender in the league. And then Jim Montgomery, in his first year, has made an incredible comeback as a coach in the National Hockey League.
Yeah, you know him well from his time right around the corner from you in college. David Dennis Jr.
First of all, I thought we'd agreed never to mention the 73-9 Warriors, but whatever.
We did no such
Anyway,
thing.
any regard-
We absolutely did no such thing.
I was told, in any regard, the difference between the Bruins and those teams and the Warriors and the Patriots squad is those two teams were grinding to get these records until the end of the season. They seemed to wear down a little bit come playoff time. The Bruins, fastest team to 50 wins, fastest team to 100 points. It felt foregone that they would break this record, and they were kind of felt like they were in cruise control, and they have a game to spare, as you mentioned. They seem like they're primed to make a deep run, to win the Stanley Cup.
Pablo Torre.
But it's only a bad omen in general because the postseason is a different beast than the regular season, and this is a team that has dominated and cared about the regular season. And those teams that have dominated the regular season to the point of being literally the greatest regular season teams of all time, Tony, those teams are more important to me historically than the team that actually wins the title in that same year. They give championships to everybody. Someone every year has to win the title. Not everybody gets to be the greatest regular season team we've ever seen before. So shout out to the Bruins and the Warriors and the Mariners and those Patriots, because the sample size in the regular season gives us more evidence to actually evaluate than,
So you
the
get
chaos
bonus
of the
points
playoffs.
for the singularity of it, of course.
Yeah.
Why is Pablo Torre's take there? That having the best regular season ever is better than winning a championship. Lasky?
Oh, it's about championships. I'm not buying a bit of
Woody
it.
Page?
Not one bit of that.
You're selling David Dennis Jr. Buy yourself Pablo Torre.
100% buying that, of course. 73 wins is more important
Oh,
than that.
jump on the
Who cares who
bandwagon.
won that year?
kind of.
All right, let's get back to the NBA. Thunder Pelicans now playing in to see who can play another game, to see who can play in the series, to see who can play in the series, to see who can play in the series, to see who can play in the finals. The shadow looming over this game, though, is Zion Williamson. Said yesterday he won't play until he feels like Zion, that he's fine physically but needs to feel like Zion. I don't know how you list that on an injury report. Questionable, ask Zion. But Pablo, what is that as we go into this play-in game tonight?
It's depressing, Tony, because first of all, I want to feel like Pablo, but every time I try to say that, Kanye West says I got there first, which is making me feel bad. And then I think about how Zion feels, and when Zion does not feel like Zion, it reminds me that he is entirely a theoretical player at this point. His nickname on this program is the Hypothesis because he has played in less than 40% of his games in the NBA. This is not news to me, but it does raise a question. Is the theory now that the front office actually is encouraging him to take it slow because they actually need him when the games fully matter deeper into the playoffs? I believe that this is part of the calculus that the Pelicans are making. Even if Zion wants to go. I believe that there is, on both sides.
Well, but Zion quite literally is saying, I'm holding myself back until I feel like Zion. David Dennis Jr., hearing him say that.
I empathize with Zion. I mean, the lower leg injury to somebody of that size who can jump, 45 inches in the air, that's a scary thing. It's like it makes you feel uneasy about your ability to go out there. It's like a pitcher trying to come back from Tommy John surgery. There is a mental aspect of that. My question here, though, is why are we having this press conference right before such a big game? Why aren't we just saying Zion is out? Why is he giving this explanation when you have a game tonight and there's even a question about why he's not playing in the first place?
Woody Page?
The doctors have said he'd play. I don't think this is the front office. He's a man who just said, I'm having a little bit of a mental issue here, and I would be better off being on the sideline supporting my teammates. He's only played 29 games this year. Let's see exactly how this continues to play out for him, whether he's going to be able to play in the playoffs at all.
Go Plasky.
Yeah, I'm not going to criticize Zion for this. He says he doesn't feel like Zion. No player feels like himself physically. This must be something more to it. There must be a lot of stress going on. He's trying to get his confidence back. I cut the kid a break.
Pablo Torre, back in.
But I think the question is whether the organization wants him to rush back sooner than he is comfortable with. I don't think they do, Tony. Nothing about how Zion handles himself and his body indicates to me that they want to push him beyond his comfort zone. Maybe it's a delicacy with a player. Maybe that's the reality of him.
Messaging here, though, has been
But yes.
questionable for the better part of 2 years. Wouldn't you agree, David?
Yeah, I mean, Pablo is assuming that the Pelicans have a plan. They were saying that Zion was going to play at the beginning of last season. Like, they don't seem to understand or have any clue what their long-term thing is with this guy.
After yesterday's picks for the play-ins, these are picks to pick against, maybe. But Pablo Torre, who you got tonight? Thunder or Pels, Bulls or Raptors?
Give me the Pels, give me the Raptors.
David Dennis Jr.?
Raptors, Thunder.
Page.
Pelicans can, Raptors also can.
Lasky.
Pels and Raptors. I love BI.
Game before the series, before the series, before the series, before the finals, 67 days away. That's it. OGs in Showdown.
Oh,
Lasky,
yeah.
Page.
Oh, I've been waiting
OGs
for this.
For your emoji. Baseball wows in Showdown. Ryan Mountcastle last night had 9 RBIs. It's 9% of the way to a 100 RBI season in one night. Third player in the first 2 weeks of the season with a 3-run home run and a grand slam. What is that? And Luis Ariz hit for the cycle for the Marlins, first in franchise history. Bill Plaschke, Woody Page, welcome to Showdown. What's the more impressive feat, Bill?
Oh, it's Ariz, because he's the one player in baseball that still cares about singles and hitting the ball to where they ain't. He's second in the league in singles last year, batting .537. I love that guy.
Come on, Bill. You've been around this game for a long time. 9 RBIs? Give me a break. We see the cycle every day by somebody in baseball, but 9 RBIs?
Every day?
Never
Wait,
happened.
every day?
Well,
We see it every
about.
day, Woody?
9% of the way to a 100 RBI season in one day is not bad. I'm going to give the
We see
point
a
to
cycle
Woody Page.
every
I know we
day.
don't care about RBI like we used to, but I'm giving the point to Woody Page. Showdown 2.
Oh.
And Little League home run in college. Let's go. Everything going right for Penn State. Everything going wrong for West Virginia. Look at this play and the call here from Penn State. It was Max Ralph on the call. It was amazing. What's your favorite part about this, Woody Page?
The broadcast description by Max Ralph. He's a Penn State student.
Yeah.
This guy's got a future. He'll be doing the Dodgers in another 3 or 4 years.
There we go. All right.
That sounded like one of the greatest plays of all time.
And
Look at the Penn State runners as they cross home plate. They all stay there, and they dance and they hop, and they can't believe it. One run scores, another run scores, another one scores, and they're dancing and celebrating. It was really sweet. College baseball is so great for the emotion.
It is, but you're never going to always give the point to the college sportscaster, the man on the call, Woody Page, for giving Max Ralph some love. There we go. Showdown 3. Some baseball teams extending beer sales to the 8th inning. That's when you know pace of games have really picked up. But doesn't that mean you're serving alcohol and telling people to drive home in an inning? Are you all right with that, Bill?
I'm fine with it. I don't want to do anything to dissuade anybody from changing this pitch clock. It's the greatest thing that happened in baseball since bubble gum. Keep it going. I'm fine with the beer sales.
Woody Page?
Oh, you can't get enough beers, Bill, by the 7th inning that you got to have another 6 in the last 2 innings. The way baseball is progressing so fast and speeded up games, I think that's fine, just the way it is.
To watch your Rockies, you need to drink, Woody.
It's not a bad joke, Flashkey. But it's not enough for the win. Woody Page, 30 seconds of FaceTime.
Shout out today to MLB The Show, the video game. This year, for the first time in the history of the video game, they're actually sharing stories about the Negro League players from the 1940s in Kansas City. Jackie Robinson is a part of the show. Satchel Paige, my uncle, and a bunch of the other stars. I think it's a great part of trying to educate young people who are playing the game and finding out about the history of the Negro League and what it meant to baseball. So
There we go. Woody Page. The Satchel Paige, your uncle. You are the Satchel Paige of this show, Woody. Another win. 600 plus. Third statistic.